Here to talk about the readiness of Texas hospitals for this new fight is Ted Shaw. He's the CEO of Texas Hospitals Association. Thank you for being here, Mr. Shaw.
Thank you, Christine.
The situation is clearly fluid, but are the CDC protocols in place enough to stop Ebola from your perception?
Ebola is a really complex disease, and this is the first time we've ever encountered it on the shore. First time ever in Dallas. So you're really learning from the first time event. The protocols are changing as they learn more, and as we learn more about this disease, they'll continue to change.
So how prepared do you believe our hospitals really are?
Hospitals, are, as it relates to infection control, go through an enormous amount of preparation and training. But never having gone through an event like Ebola, there's certainly things that they can learn.
Well, a lot of people in across the country are looking at what happened in Dallas and just shaking their head. How could this happen? Claims that many of these nurses were working without protective gear in front of an Ebola positive patient. I mean, what do you do as a hospital organization to make sure that this does not happen again?
Well, our job is to make sure we communicate everything we can about protocols and preparedness and making sure that the facts are known. We need to really wait and make sure before we jump to conclusions on what happened, because we really don't know all the facts yet, exactly what happened and what protocol might have been broken in order to cause the disease to pass.
Are we seeking right now to have on hand the drugs that were made available to the first patients that recovered? And if so, what's the timetable on that from what you're hearing?
I don't have the facts on that. I know that they are seeking to it. They actually ran out of that set of medication. There is no cure right now for Ebola, and so let's be careful about that. Really what we can do is help the patients, monitor them, make sure that they're well hydrated, make sure that they're well taken care of, and keep them as well as we can. And then as they develop new treatments, they'll continue to look for something that'll be a cure, or certainly something that'll help beat this disease.
And then we've got flu season knocking on the door right now. How are hospitals going to determine and be able to separate those flu patients from possible Ebola patients? Because based on the symptoms, it's going to be pretty hard. I mean, they're very similar symptoms initially.
I agree. It's going to be a challenge. Hospitals are going to have a series of protocols to go through in terms of asking those additional questions. It's not just a fever or a cough that you look at, but what else? Where have they been? What have they been in contact with? So making sure that you go through a questioning, kind of a checklist, if you would, and going down the protocol to make sure you identify the patients that do have potential exposure.
Now, I don't want to be alarmist, because we want to very much stress to the public that so far we're hearing that this is only exchanged through bodily fluids and that the idea of contamination is very remote. But having said that, knowing what you're up against, what are you thinking right now, knowing your position?
Well, there is no reason to believe it's anything other than exchange of fluids at this point. We've got to obviously be constantly aware, maybe take more precautions in terms of if it does evolve. But at this point, there's no facts that actually stipulate that it's contracted in any other way.
The Lieutenant Governor was in here a couple weeks ago talking about this new task force that the state formed to try to prevent problems from happening in the future after we had the first patient zero, so to speak, come into Dallas. How has that task force been working with you? And if so, has it been fruitful?
The task force is just organizing, and in fact, its first meeting will be next week. And so we have, at their request, have supplied them names of people that can work on that task force that are knowledgeable in infectious disease and in hospital operations.
All right, Mr. Shaw, tonight for the Texas Hospital Association, we certainly appreciate your time and your insight, and I know we'll be talking to you over the next few weeks as well.
And the only thing I wanted to say was, a Presbyterian is a wonderful hospital. My child was born there, and it's everybody is looking to try to do the right thing here.
Sure. Well, and right now, just trying to make sure that no other problems come up.
Absolutely.
Thank you.